Hi, I'm Ben Fairbank, CEO and co-founder of RedFOX Labs, and I'm coming to you from the RedFOX Labs office in Ho Chi Minh. We have a five-storey building here. We've signed a 6-year lease. It has a coffee shop at the bottom, which is soon to go in. We have a co-working space and chill-out area on the second floor with reception. Third floor, we have a hackathon room and also a stage and presentation hall. Fourth floor is set aside for the building of offices, and we have a studio on the fifth floor. We have been here for approximately 5 or 6 months now. So what is a venture builder? That's a good question. A venture builder, sometimes known as a startup studio, is very similar to a rocket internet for those of you who are familiar. What they do is they look for unicorn company models that are proven to be successful. Then they say, is there an emerging market or a region of the world where this type of business is demanded but not present? Hence us being in Vietnam. A lot of people ask why we're here. Fastest growing GDP in the region, similar to China, explosive growth through the whole Southeast Asian region, massive population who is adopting technology and data at a rapid rate, 104 million people between 25 and 34. It's a $72 billion industry just for the internet economy in 2018, according to Google Temasek, and will go to 240 billion in 2025. So we are right place, right time. Now we're looking for market opportunities within the internet economy that we can replicate and that we can build and that we can use blockchain as a differentiator to disrupt those legacy models and those commercial models that require you to have a bank account and a credit card. So why do we think we'll be successful? Okay, so there's a lot of types of competition around, and there's a lot of venture builders around or startup studios around. We have the fortune of being one of the first blockchain venture builders in the whole of Asia, but one of the first in Southeast Asia, actually the first that does this type of a model. So we've got an advantage of being the first player to the market. What that basically means is you would have to have still very good skills in executing. So people would say, how do you know that you can do the commercial side and compete against some of these larger businesses? And how do you know that you can actually do the blockchain side as well? So we've had C-level experience in the region working for companies such as Grab, which is the biggest ride-hailing company. It's the biggest unicorn in Southeast Asia. We've also worked for Virgin in the area and also done a startup for Ooredoo in Myanmar, which is one of the biggest telcos in the world. So we have experience in startups, also in multinationals, in turnarounds, in profit improvement, return on investments, all sorts of things along those lines. So we know that we can do the commercial side, and we have an extremely good network of partners that we're bringing on as each project gets built and scaled. From the blockchain side, as I stated, GM of Komodo, so understand exactly what is available and what Komodo can actually do. We have the advantage of knowing how both sides works, and we can bring those together. So we are looking for models that can be introduced to this area where there is a high demand and a lack of supply. So what does our model look like? All right, what we do is we have a 200-day model. So once we've actually determined which type of business we are going to build out and what we're going to replicate, what we then do is we start to assemble a team. So we find talent in the region and possibly returning foreign workers who are coming back to Vietnam or to the countries we build in Southeast Asia. They have to have experience in one of these top flight competitors. They have to have experience at a C level, and we're giving people that might have been a COO or a CTO an opportunity to be a CEO and to run one of these types of companies. We let them have some freedom in building their own team, and we give them a percentage of equity of the company that we actually build. We pay the expenses of that. So once we've determined which type of project we're going to build and bring on that team, we get to working on the API and the GUIs and the user interfaces to make sure that we've got a product ready to go to market by day 100. So leading up to that, we would have done the go-to-market strategy, marketing, campaigning, announcing the teams, all of that type of stuff. At day 100, we go live. We stay with that team for another 100 days. So we have our expert advisor group and our partners that we bring in. They stay with them for 100 more days. At day 200, we fully hand across to that business. We just remain board members who come and check in once a month, provide guidance and advice and assistance whenever it's required. And our job is to literally help those guys grow and accelerate by connecting them to fundraising and also to a larger network. So that's how the model actually works. We retain about 80% equity from each of these companies, which is obviously subject to dilution. How do we choose the companies we build? Okay, well, that's our proprietary and that's our IP, and that's what we're really selling, to be honest. We have a 9-point funnel system, and it's not open to subjectivity or emotion. So if we think something would be fun to build, it doesn't necessarily get built. What we do is we run companies through the funnel, and if they come out the other end and they've passed all of our very strict metrics, then they would get built. But they are things like, for example, they have to be able to scale to certain revenue targets within the first 4 years, and we have to show how that happens. They have to actually we have to be 3rd to 5th to market in the region, or 2 companies have to control 80%, and we have to show how we can take away a percentage of that market share and why it's needed and why it's explosively growing. So as stated, it has to show explosive growth over the last 5 years. Has to also have an advantage by introducing blockchain. If we can't show that there is an advantage by using blockchain, then it doesn't get built. And one of our final ones is we need to really make sure that this idea is possible to trademark or to patent or to make sure it is registered. Now, people would say, well, you're copying somebody else's business. How would you trademark that? We are copying other businesses, and that's good for investors because they know it's worked before. Our job is to make sure that we're doing something different, that we're doing a different either payment gateway, or we're doing something different in the process, or we're doing something different in our offering that differentiates ourselves from our competitors. And what it actually does is it does provide something unique to the market. If we can't find that angle and we can't find that, then we don't bring it in. So what companies and what sectors do we look at? As stated, we stick to the internet economy, which will be 240 billion in the next 6 years. And what we do is we concentrate on the 4 fastest growing sectors. The 4 fastest growing sectors are e-commerce, e-media, e-travel, and the 4th is ride-hailing. But in that ride-hailing bucket, it also includes logistics, supply, and food delivery. We'll not be targeting ride-hailing per se, due to the fact that it requires too much cash burn rate. What use does the token have? Okay, so we have a coin because RedFOX is actually a platform. All of the new chains on Komodo are their own independent platforms. So the RedFOX coin is used in a number of different ways. We do also have a consulting arm, so I'll go through the boring ones first. We have a consulting arm, and that is to help businesses understand what blockchain can do, and we have a partner that does that consulting work on our behalf. We just receive a percentage of those profits. The token can be used to pay for consulting at a discounted rate. The token can also be used to buy into future projects that RedFOX builds. So as I stated, we're going to be building a new company approximately every 200 days. As we scale our team size up, we'll be able to do simultaneous companies as well. So this will give you access rights and potentially discounts into purchasing into the future companies. The third and the biggest reason for the coin is the ecosystem itself. So we are implementing side chains, so to speak. So some of the companies that we introduce will not require coins or tokens just for the sake of having one. So our RedFOX token will be used to facilitate the transactions that go through each of those companies. Now, our aim is to make sure that people that are using the companies we build don't even know they're interacting with blockchain technology, which is the fastest way to mass adoption, we believe. So if they're using fiat, all of the transactions as far as recording of data, receipts, immutable ledger updates will all be done on the blockchain still, and the RedFOX token, so the RFOX, will actually make sure that those transactions are processed and written to the blockchain. So this is a very strong use case, and as our ecosystem builds out and the more companies we have, the more used and the more demanded the RedFOX coin will become. The airdrops, most people are asking about the airdrops. So yes, the airdrops are 28% of the supply, which are actually distributed to the token holders or coin holders of RFOX. There is a schedule that is published on our black paper on our website where you can see the details of when those airdrops are going to take place. Why did we choose to do an IEO? There's been questions about IEOs and what their metrics are and whether they're valid and why people do them. There's a very simple reason. A lot of people say, they're just another ICO in a different wrapper. The supply of the coins on the market is much lower. Yes, there's a lot of arguments for and against this, but let me just explain how it mirrors a traditional business in a sense. Now, a traditional business would do a seed round of fundraising and get a little bit of money in. What they would then do is start to build out their product. If they were successful in doing that, they would get more money, either through Series A or through the tranches that they've been promised in the previous raise rounds. So you have to hit goals and milestones for you to get more money. So in an IEO, there is a limited supply that's on the market in the beginning. That should be enough to build out your proof of concept or your beta version of your first product or project. Then, if you've proven and you've done what you said you were going to do, obviously when tokens and coins become unlocked, the value of those would be increasing because you're doing exactly what you said you would do, and you would have more money to be able to grow faster and faster and faster. So the idea of it is kind of good in a way, because the old way was you'd raise 20, 40, 60, $100 million up front and there was no obligation and you may not be able to build it out, and that's it, the raise is done, all the tokens are in the market. So the IEO is a smaller amount, more concentrated in the beginning, giving you the opportunity to prove that you can actually build that out. So that's the way I see it anyway, it's just my personal opinion. The exchanges also charge large fees to host IEOs, of course, as you would expect. So therefore, the rates or amounts are factored into the raised prices. But as far as IEOs are concerned, the one positive that's concerned is that you have to do it through an exchange, and the majority of the exchanges that are doing it required you to go through some sort of identification process, much the same as the people who are selling the tokens on the other side. So the exchange is taking a big risk selling your tokens and coins, so they do a very heavy vetting process, and you yourself have gone through and had to provide identification. So it's much safer than the days of 2017 where you were buying coins from a person sitting in their mum's basement and you didn't know where that money was going or what was going to happen to it. I hope this answered your questions, but we're very, very excited. We're getting a lot of publicity locally in the region for what we're doing. A lot of people are saying we're a little bit ahead of our time, but we have got not very long before we have to start building this stuff out, because we know the big players from overseas are going to come into this market at some stage in the next year or two. We want to cement ourselves as being the first and as being the number one in the region. And to do that, we need to start building. So we do have our first 3 projects in mind. We will reveal what they are closer to the end of the raise, because that will dictate which one of the 3 that we go for first. So thanks for joining us. If you've got any questions, leave your comments below, and we'll see you for the next time that we talk about RedFOX Labs.